Well, welcome back to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. Howdy. Oh, that's the perfect way to start Sunday off here. Oh, welcome back to Sci-Fi Sundays, y'all. We've got Joshua and Patton of CBR back in the house today.
Mr. Joshua.
It's going to be a very fun episode. We've got a lot to talk about, of course. There are mergers going on in Hollywood, or the precipice of mergers happening out here. And then, of course, I might not be as up to par with it all, but these three know so much about this strange new world that's happening, and I think we're going to discuss a little bit about that. Besides that, let's start the week off. First of all, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Terrible.
Oh, no.
Life is just one.
I'm somewhere in between the two.
We've got the full yin-yang spectrum here, y'all.
Yeah.
That being said, what have we seen this week? Let's get it off. Started with some goodness. My roommates and I are still working through the Conjuring series to try to go see the new one while it's in the movie theaters. But last night we went to go see The Long Walk, which might be my favorite Stephen King adaptation outside of The Green Mile now. It was amazing.
Okay.
It was.
Looks good.
It felt like Civil War or Warfare, or I wouldn't say Schindler's List, but it's not one I want to go watch again anytime soon.
Right.
But it's really good. Outside of that, Peacemaker, Alien Earth, all the usual. I don't think we've been seeing too much lately. What about y'all?
Normally, when you do this sort of thing, you'd let the guests go first. But no,
we need the best for last because we know he's going to have so many good things.
Yeah.
I know. Mr. Joshua, what have you seen this week?
Well, I've been writing a lot about Peacemaker. Although it's funny because I got the pre-release press screeners about 2 weeks before the show premiered. So the episode that aired this week, I'm finally caught up. So it's been a good 6-7 weeks until I can find out what happens next. Along with that, I did not see The Long Walk. It's on my list, but I actually went to see the Downton Abbey movie because I was just a big deal in this household, and it was all right. It wasn't great. But it's over. Probably should be. What else have I been watching? I mean, so much that I can't really. Oh, I also reviewed season 4 of The Morning Show on Apple TV, which
I mean, you actually watch.
It's like a prestige soap. It's not bad. It's very not in our sci-fi wheelhouse, but yeah, that's what I've been covering lately.
Nice.
Sarah, ladies third.
Ladies third. Finished Foundation and Strange New Worlds. Of course, still loving Alien Earth. You can watch my videos on that. I always have to pimp my channel, and I've started a rewatch of SG-1. That's pretty much about it. Yeah.
Forgot Infinity. So much greatness.
Oh yes, Infinity. Watch that as well. Star Trek Infinity, or Star Trek. Stargate Infinity.
Don't watch that.
Oh, we did our homework. We're completionists.
Poor thing.
Yeah. Well, it's Stargate, so we had to do it. It wasn't.
That's why I went to the Downton Abbey movie. Completionist.
Yeah,
you have to sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. I mean, it's not great, but it could have been worse.
Yes. Jay, what you seen this week? Oh, I forgot.
I actually really enjoyed Alien Earth this week. I thought it was very good. I'm not sure. I didn't even watch Gen X the first season. I watched about 3 episodes and got bored. I've rewatched season 3 of Strange New Worlds just to check if I disliked it as much as I thought I did, and I did. So I actually think it was worse second time around. It's really irritating. It's individually quite good episodes, but as a whole, it's not offensive. It's not bad. It's just not great. But anyway, off topic. Maybe later. What else have I watched? I'm watching a drama. Have you've seen Elsbeth? I'm really watching. I fell in love with Elsbeth. It's like a murder mystery thing. It's not like it's like a a murder mystery of the week thing. It's one of the chicks, she was in True Blood, which is why I thought, oh, I know her. But it's a completely different character. But I love her so much. I wish she was my mom. And that she could solve mysteries with her. And I've gone on a Predator run. So I did Predator. I did Predator 2. I hit Predators. What would it be third for the Predator series?
Predators, right?
Yeah, Predator.
And then I might skip the Predator, which is not very good. And then I got Prey, but I will hit AVP along the way. But actually, I was mentioning before we started this, Gary Busey. He's brilliant in Alien, in Predator 2. He's so good in that.
I love Predator 2. I know it's not anyone like most people's favorite. Predator 2. Oh, I love that movie.
It's one of those things. It's like Die Hard 2. If Die Hard 2 had been Die Hard, people would have loved it and gone mental for it. And Predator 2, if that had come first, people would have loved it and gone mental for it. But because we compare it to Predator, Die Hard, these are with iconic classics, instant classics, you can't, they look weaker. But now I'm with you, Mr. Joshua. They're just amazing films. They're really, really good. I actually think there are parts of Predator 2 this. No, it's not as good as Predator's a perfect movie. The first Predator movie is perfect. But I loved it. I've got AVP tonight. I'm going to watch AVP tonight.
Good luck.
But then I'm not watching AVP Requiem. I'd rather put my gentleman's sausage in a cheese grater than watch that movie again.
We can't arrange that.
Pervert. What's wrong with you?
I had to throw you off for once.
Yeah. My cheese grater looks like a meat mincer. It's a thing.
Oh, no.
And then you put the cheese in the top of the thing, and then you turn it, and the cheese is so it would really hurt.
There's been far too much thought put into this.
It's an ongoing theme when I speak that I have to say something inappropriate, or it just wouldn't be SciTrek.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
This is true.
I have to start videos by burping because I don't realise that you've started live.
Was the most perfect timing or worst timing, one or the other. Oh, but it was great. Well, we've seen some great stuff this year or this week, whatever I'm trying to say.
This week felt like a year, so that's actually a fair descriptor.
Yeah.
It's not torture. I was choosing to do it, by the way. So.
Oh, God. So the rest of the year's looking like it's going to be just as crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What angle should we tackle this merger from first? Paramount because it came first, or Netflix because it's fresh?
Well, why don't we talk about the Skydance Paramount merger a little bit first, because it isn't
right.
I mean, do we really think they're going to go in a different direction with much, or will they? I mean, Mr. Joshua, because obviously we have the Star Trek thing. Do you think they will rock the boat as far as Secret Hideout go?
Well, as far as Secret Hideout goes, that is an interesting question. I know that because the reason that Paramount did the merger is because, and again, I don't know how deep people go into like the business of Paramount, but there's a guy, you may know him, you may not, but Sumner Redstone, his life's work was like assembling all the pieces of Paramount Global. And, and there was a time when it split up, and then he spent a lot of money buying it all back. And he was old as God 40 years ago. So when he died, his daughter, Sherry Redstone, took over. And the way it works is their company, National Amusements, which started as like a theater chain, they just own the voting stock in Paramount. And because of losing money with the start of Paramount Plus, and mostly because like Mission Impossible, 2 of them flopped, Transformers flopped, Dungeons and Dragons flopped, pretty much everything but Top Gun Maverick, and I'm forgetting the movie that did well this year. They were just in dire financial straits. So a merger or sale needed to happen, because otherwise Paramount would have gone bankrupt. And so I was happy when Skydance stepped in, because, this David Ellison kid, he is, he started out as an actor, tried to direct, and he is what you call like a creative executive. And that, stands in contrast to the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, David Zaslav, who was a reality TV programmer. So I felt good about. I'm sorry, Jay. What was that?
I forgot about the terrible musician part as well. That he actually had a little stint where he tried to be a musician.
I did. I didn't forget. I was just, I was like, let's not get in the weeds.
A purposeful gloss over there.
Terrible.
Yeah. Now, and then you have like the lawsuit and the FCC thing, which, let's just be clear. Before I was a critic, I covered politics for 20 years. That is straight up just abuse of office. Like the FCC is supposed to be an independent regulatory body. It has nothing to do with like politics or anything like that.
No.
And,
and they were honest about it as well. To be fair to them, they were very honest that they were blocking that merger because they didn't want DEI and they didn't want everything else.
Yeah, and trying to control
the role, but
the news side. Absolutely. And so, it is fair to criticize settling the lawsuit to get the merger to go through. But if they hadn't, like to even take them to court, Paramount would have been bankrupt for a year before the first hearing. So that is an unwinnable position for them. So really, I'm just, when the merger went through, I was like, well, at least Paramount will continue. As for Secret Hideout, as you've been saying a lot, Jay, I think that, Skydance Media is a production company. So I think because of the way debt works and the fact that they took on like billions and billions of dollars of debt, like what is it, $16 billion of debt? They're trying to cut.
Nearly 16. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to cut money wherever they can. So if bringing Star Trek in-house, I think it might have mostly to do with the balance sheet more so than any quality of like the shows or even the folly of Section 31. That said,
describing it, folly.
Yeah, I mean, that said, though, I could also see a world where they do some kind of like holding deal, first look deal with Secret Hideout, maybe not even related to Star Trek, or maybe they can still pitch Star Trek, but it's no longer exclusive. But they say it's a priority, and if the guy that they hired, I forget his name. And everyone celebrates that he's a Star Trek fan, which is good. But as you know, we're all Star Trek fans. I'm sure we all like different things about Star Trek. The thing that gives me hope is that maybe he'll understand that Star Trek is never going to be Star Wars. Like the Kelvin movies, they threw all this money into the budget, try to make it big and flashy, and that's just not what Star Wars is. Star Wars Las Vegas or Star Trek Las Vegas will get like 15,000 people. Star Wars Celebration gets 150,000 people. And, if they understand, like if they have realistic expectations for what Star Trek can do, then, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm just straight up optimistic, We'll see what happens. But I just hope that Star Trek keeps going, because even if you don't like the direction of this entire third wave, if Star Trek is successful, they're going to keep making them. And then maybe the next one will be the one that you're like, oh shit, Star Trek is back.
Yeah.
But if they're like, oh, well, put it aside, or even worse, like sell it off to someone, that I think would be bad.
I agree with you on the business side of things, because again, I was talking to a friend who was basically saying one of the things that Skydance would love to do is virtually half the budget for what is Star Trek. Says it does not get the numbers to warrant that budget, but also Skydance are used to doing things on a reasonable budget at times. They've had to do sci-fi projects that have not been a lot of money. They do Foundation, don't they, as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say that Foundation has a budget of $5 to $6 million an episode, which is almost half, not quite, almost half what Star Trek costs. Picard topped that. I think they were touching $12 million an episode. Josh, you probably know better than me, but I'm sure they were touching $12 million an episode on average. So I mean, that would have been a lot of pain.
I heard about. I mean, I heard of like it averaged out to 10. Some were more expensive.
10,
Some weren't.
10, 11. I think 12 might have been the most. I think the
Oh, that might have been the
one
thing with
episode-
season 2 where they did the like time travel thing so they could do locations to save money,
Yeah,
and then COVID hit and location shoots
yeah.
became
The
way
first
more
season-
expensive to do.
The first season was $11 million, but that was partly because they gave Patrick Stewart a cackload of money to do it because he didn't really want to do it. And they're like, how about we drive a truck full of money up to your house, and will you do it then? And because I mean, a lot of it was because he's like, I think I might be too old for this, but so I think bringing this, I'm not sure Secret Hideout can make Star Trek at $5 or $6 million an episode. I just don't think they have the skill or that type of ethic or ethos or whatever to do it. I think Skydance do. And I still think it'll be in partnership with other production companies. As you say, if they decide, if Academy does really well, they go, we want to keep doing that. It will be in partnership with Secret Hideout. And the other thing I would say is, I think Alex Kurtzman would love not to have an exclusivity deal if it meant that they could get some other projects up and running. He wants to do movies. He wants to do other things. The original deal with Paramount was a Star Trek exclusivity deal, but it was actually an exclusivity deal with Secret Hideout. They were supposed to do other things, and they didn't. It was a bit like Bad Robot over at Warner. They didn't really get anything done, so they just sort of ran with Star Trek.
Well, and then when the producer shakeup happened at Discovery, like Secret Hideout stepped in almost to like save that, because that was everything that was the flagship of then CBS All Access.
Yeah.
And then I think that and to go back to your point, I think sort of the problem with that is that it happened during the time when everybody was getting those like $100 million deals.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if Secret Hideout or anyone had like less money to work with for Star Trek. I mean, there are so many times that like budget restrictions made a better Star Trek. I mean, I think we talked once before about the opening for Star Trek 6. They didn't have the money to do what they wanted, so they started it as they did. And the thing they wanted to do, like, had the crew out of Starfleet, had them all in like shitty jobs, which doesn't make sense in a post-scarcity society, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that, like, the less budget, I think, would make a lot of things better. From Star Trek, Marvel, I think Marvel could stand to spend a little less, and maybe.
Well, they've started to. DCS as well. The days of $500 million budgets are gone.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I mean, shows that have done it on a shoestring. Obviously, you can go back to in the day, Babylon 5 and things like that was done for basically money they find behind the cushions on the settee. It was done for nothing. Voyager TNG were relatively expensive for shows at the time, but not ridiculous. Stargate for the season, $900,000 an episode. But
12 Monkeys didn't have a lot of money.
No. Well, in modern times, though, we've got The Expanse, $4 to $5 million an episode.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've already mentioned Foundation. Invasion was done for very little. Obviously, you've got like Monarch, that was done for a lot of money, but then you've got like Kurt Russell and stuff in it, so it was always going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But we seem to have polar things here about shows that are either ridiculously expensive,
right,
or that are done shoestring. And I'm sorry, but if you put Foundation and Star Trek up against each other from a visuals point of view, one costs twice as much as the other, nearly, not quite, nearly. Visually, you ain't spotting much difference.
No, Foundation's gorgeous. Yeah.
Silent. It's not done for a lot of money. And but it's I think Apple are just better at it. But Skydance produce a lot of these shows, and I think they know how to do it a little better. But also, they just need to go, if they go in a different direction, maybe have a few less shots of the Enterprise spinning for no good reason, and things like that. They can do it for a lot less money. And I think that's what Skydance are looking at, because they're looking at a show that very rarely gets on the Nielsen ratings anymore, and doesn't stay at the top 10 of their own ratings. It'll go number 1 on the day of release, and then it drops almost immediately down to 3 or 4. It's behind Mobland at the moment, which is a show that came out 4 or 5 months before it. It's behind 2 other shows which I've now forgotten what they are.
Yellowstone shows or no?
But I literally looked yesterday. It's 4th at the moment, and that's with the final episode is only like a week ago, or a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So it should be 1st or 2nd. It's just on a point of view of being a brand new show. It shouldn't be behind Mobland, which is out 6 months ago, and that apparently everyone hated because of Brosnan's Irish accent. And now they're going, I don't think they did. So I saw a couple of articles. It's bombed because of Brosnan's Irish accent, and I'm like,
the ratings thing is kind of weird. The Nielsen ratings, they do it by minutes watched, and it's the total series. So like part of the reason stuff like Bluey is always in the top 10 is because parents will put it on autoplay and just let it run while the kids watch or don't watch or whatever. That's sort of why Netflix still does the binge, like drop it all at once model, because that's more watch time. They'll get a week at number 1, maybe 2. And as for the Paramount rankings, I mean, I agree with you. It's weird, like that Mobland gets up. And I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was either at the end of July or beginning of August, Section 31 was back in the top 10 of movies.
Well, that just shows that nobody's watching Paramount. But I mean, even on the Nielsen ratings, though, Mobland is above Star Trek on the Nielsen rating, and Strange New Worlds has had 3 seasons. Mobland's had 1. Yeah. So again, it shouldn't be above it. In fact,
what I mean to say by that is that like TV ratings made sense because it was on when it was on, and then they started doing like the what is it, like debut plus 3 days or whatever for the DVRs and stuff. But the way people watch streaming is not the way that they watch linear television. I mean, I'm sure that there are Star Trek fans who absolutely waited till the season was done before they started watching Strange New Worlds at all.
They comment on my channel all the time that I want to wait till I binge it. I want to binge it at the end.
Yeah. So I think that the sort of the public data that we get about the success of the shows, I don't know what the value in that is or what it really says. I think they know. I think the studio has all the data that they could get. I just don't. I think that they want to give us some sort of metric to talk about while keeping the real info for themselves. And that's, because they also take things into account like completion rate. Like Netflix, if there's a show that, the first 3 episodes get 10 million viewers or whatever, but then there's another show that gets 2 million viewers, but they all finish it in like a day, that 2 million viewer show is going to get renewed. So, I mean, we are in the middle of a big sea change in entertainment, especially post-COVID, post-strike. So like what is successful and what isn't, I think is a moving target. I mean, I don't know, Sarah, how do you watch streaming stuff? Do you week to week it or do you binge?
Me? It depends on sorry, Jay.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
No, it depends on I don't mind binging, but I'm watching a lot of things that it's like you just get it week to week. I don't wait until it all comes out. I just watch it however. If it's all at once, I'll binge it. If it's week to week, I'll do it that way. It's just if I like the show or not, Strange New Worlds, I think I liked it more week to week though, just because of a lot of reasons. But,
I'm terrible.
Anyway, go ahead, Jay.
I'm terrible binging things. When I find something new that I like, I watch the crap out of it. My point was going to be demographics don't matter though, and one of the things that actual Paramount love Discovery, even though a lot of us Trekkies hate it with a vengeance of 1,000 fires, particularly the first season. Not Mr. Joshua, but it's really popular with the younger demographic, and that just makes Paramount bosses dance and jump around and tickle each other. And I hate that shit. And I'm a ship guy.
Me too. It's a Ralph McQuarrie. It's off the Ralph McQuarrie thing though.
Yeah. I know. It sings back to the classic.
Where's your Enterprise D? You don't have it out there.
It's too big to go in here.
He's right here. It's right here. And then we got a little one. We got a little Enterprise D.
They're doubling up.
Had to double them up.
And I got all the NCC 1701 and
Mhm.
1701As hanging from my toy shelf. I mean, my collectibles display.
Yeah, no, this is also
Yes, of course.
I think this one's my favorite. I love
that's
Old
sick.
school Batman. Yeah, that's cool.
It's so cool.
Turbines to speed.
But yeah, I need something for there. That's an empty space that I need to fill. I might be some sort of figurine or something. I don't know. But
you should put a Wraith right there.
It should be a Stargate, I think. A big, you know, one of those that lights up and stuff, and like thing. I might have to get one of those. Anyway, what were we saying?
Well, Monk brought up a good thing earlier. We've talked about it before, and y'all talked about it ad nauseum in certain ways. But now that this merger's kind of back on, or not back on, now that it's a possibility and these things are being discussed, do you think Star Trek? Of course, we've discussed this just being its own studio under Paramount, Skydance, etc. But now that they are taking the merger route, maybe going towards Warner Brothers, do you think they're going to take a page out of Warner Brothers' book and make it its own studio like DC has been made?
It's what Warner Brothers wanted to do with Star Trek. Apparently, they wanted to do Star Trek Studios. I just think they should go on Paramount Law and do where they film it and just go, that's Star Trek Studios, and not even do it part of CBS.
If the merger happens, though, do you think that lessens or heightens the ability for that to actually take place?
Well, I think that depends on who's in charge. Like, if the merger, if Paramount and Warner Brothers, if Paramount ends up buying Warner Brothers and merging with Warner Brothers, the question is who's going to come out on top, David Ellison or David Zaslav? And, you know, there's some questionable stuff about Ellison, especially, you know, his father, even though technically on paper, Larry Ellison is not involved with Skydance in any way.
About Red Kite as well, which is actually
Red Bird, you mean?
Red Bird. That's Red Kite, isn't it?
No, I know it's Red Bird. I mean, I don't really know. You're right, though. I always forget about them. But if it's, I mean, if it's Zaslav, then again, he is more like ruthless business focus, and you know, he's the one who would like kill Westworld to save a little money. Whereas, you know, I think that Ellison understands better, at least, what that looks like and how that responds to talent, or how talent responds to stuff like that. So, you know, I don't love the idea of Paramount and Warner Brothers merging, just because they're two of America's oldest studios. And while I don't want either of them to go away, I also don't want them to become the same thing, you know? And, you know, I think Disney has shown us with like Disney and Fox, you really can't have two separate entities under the same owner.
No,
Fox, you know,
it's a shadow now. It's when they do something with Fox now, it's almost like a why sort of thing. It's almost unusual when you see something with Fox Studios. It's like, if Paramount buys Warner Brothers, you got to wonder how that is going to work. The only thing I can think of is that they would try to keep them as separate entities, in which case Zaslav may keep a job. Which would be, I don't think a lot of people would be very happy about. But I don't see how you merge two of the biggest studios like that, and that one doesn't sort of become an echo. Sort of. How do you do that and keep them both so rich? And you got such big IPs. You'd almost want to like create. What'll happen is it'll become Paramount Warner or something like that, and I think that'll be. I don't think it'll work.
That, or we go the route of 20th Century Fox and Disney, which is still technically its own entity and releasing things, but what do we got?
You know, Disney's like, I don't want that. Gets the 20th Century Fox stamp. The other interesting thing about it too is that like Paramount, after the merger, debt management, and they put a lot of cash in, but they don't have a lot of cash to spend. And, you know, of course, Larry Ellison's the richest man in the world, so maybe that could happen. But Netflix also has a shit ton of money. And all Netflix has is streaming. Like, that's all it has. So, you know, I think that it makes a lot more sense for Netflix to step in and just sort of like assume control over Warner Brothers. And, that I feel like that could be more like an Amazon MGM situation, which also not really ideal, but
I actually think Netflix getting it will get through things like the FCC and FTC easier.
Well, the only thing with Warner Brothers that FCC would be involved with is their like 2.5% stake in the CW, which I believe they would sell immediately anyway.
Oh, of course it would. I think it'd be the FCC would be involved because they'd have to sort of like sign off on the
FCC only regulates broadcast television networks. Cable is not covered by it. Streaming isn't.
It's the same as the way they were involved in the Paramount merger, in that they've got to sign off for the licenses or something.
Yeah, the license for CBS, the broadcast network. Warner Brothers doesn't have a broadcast network anymore.
Oh, of course it doesn't. So it would just be FTC then.
Yeah, FTC, and the antitrust stuff. That,
Just wondering, not any production, any of that. HBO isn't it?
What?
I know HBO Max isn't, or HBO whatever.
No, that's cable. Any cable is every cable channel in America could show porn if it wants.
Yeah, they don't have anything like that. Though, I mean, they'd have to go through FCC. I'm shocked. Yeah. I say, being British, I don't know. I don't know what's on thingies. They don't own any news networks or anything.
No. Because they owned the WB, and then that merged with UPN, and they had the CW, which was half owned by CBS, half owned by Warner Brothers. But then, what was it, last year or year before, they sold it to Nexstar, who's been in the news recently, and
not going well, is it?
Yeah, and I don't remember the exact percentage. I think either CBS owns 5 and Warner Brothers owns 5, or they both own half of 5, like, because they didn't completely divest. But I think especially if they're selling Warner Brothers and the way they're splitting up the company,
they own CNN.
Yeah, that's cable. FCC has nothing to do with cable.
Cable again, yeah.
Really? It's one of the largest, most famous news networks on the planet, and it's only cable.
The only broadcast networks are the Fox broadcast networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, CW.
There's some independent ones too.
Yeah, like PBS. Yeah, and
My Network. I don't know, but
learning. I'm gonna go Stormy dinner. You talk.
Yeah, and the reason that is because the broadcast network television airwaves are state owned. The government lets companies use those for free, and that's the deal. Is the FCC gets to license it, and that's why the Paramount merger got held up there. Although, no, I think that because Paramount already owns CBS, I don't think FCC would be involved if they bought Warner Brothers. Because I think it's only because the license wouldn't transfer to another company.
Yeah, because they'd have to reapply for a license, just one way or another.
Right.
And it's.
There you go.
I'm sorry, what was that, Sarah?
It's a merger, not a purchase.
No, it was about Jay. Never mind.
No.
We were unmuting him.
Yeah.
I didn't let it stir a pot. I didn't go for a pee or to burp or anything.
What are you cooking? That's what we got to know.
Beef stew.
Ooh, sounds yummy.
It's very British. Feels very British.
Yeah.
I'm doing that tomorrow. Nice.
Lovely.
A little beef stew in it.
Need to dig some mustard out, put some mustard in it. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know, because it's a merger, not a direct acquisition. I don't know if the FTC can, but the FTC will definitely be involved, and there will be discussions about whether it's in the public interest. But that's fine. You throw Trump a couple of million quid, it'll go through no problem. I didn't say that. Hippo.
give him a Netflix show.
So hippo is a code word if I say anything that's going to lose our subscribers that he has to yell at. Shut up. It's either that or Jamie, shut the fuck up. We hadn't decided which was the code word. But anyway, even if the FTC comes in, you put a little bit of mustard, French mustard in there, and you mix it up, and it thickens up the gravy slightly, but also gives us a little bit of a tang.
Yeah.
Also a little bit of tomato puree. A little bit of tomato puree. Nom, 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 nom. Anyway, just gives a little bit of depth to the flavour. There's Gordon Ramsay over here. I put mustard in everything. What was I saying? But either way, it's going to go through government regulation. So I think it would be easier for Netflix to do it. It's almost like it's almost more like, rather than Disney buying Fox, it's more like Amazon buying MGM.
Right.
In that it's not two studios, even though Amazon's got some studio, had some studio space before that. It was tiny, like 6 sound stages or something before it. It's got more than that now, but that was what it had at the time. So Netflix doesn't have any studio space as far as I'm aware. They always, if they produce anything that's a Netflix, it's always done with somebody else.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be really a streaming provider buying a studio, and Netflix would kill to own. Do you know what I actually think will happen with Warner Brothers though? I think it'll be some sort of investment fund that will come in, like they did with it was that guy that tried to buy Paramount for more money.
Yeah. I know his name too, because he does it all the time. He's like, I'm interested in buying this for $1 billion, and then he'll just never put in the offer. God, I can't think of his name.
But somebody would come in and I think tried to buy Warner Brothers.
Yeah, was it like Alpha something? Wasn't that the company? I don't remember.
He's backed by some people. I just don't remember. We talked about him.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, so somebody will come in, I think, and buy Warner Brothers. But if Netflix can, the only problem is I don't think Netflix is particularly cash rich. Their wealth comes from their income. They've got really good income, but they tend to spend it. So, I mean, I think they've still got a couple of billion quid's worth of debt themselves.
That's true. They do. Byron Allen. That was the guy's name. Byron Allen.
Byron. But you got to remember as well, Netflix weren't making money for years. They really struggled. It was only really it was either COVID or just after COVID, where they swapped over to the WPS Amazon service system, that they started making money, and that they became profitable. I mean, not that they were losing money like Disney Plus losing money, but they were sort of, I imagine part of it was for tax reasons. And I'm saying, we've made no money, so we don't have to pay tax. I think that part, they invested their money back into the business like every business ever has. But yeah, they ended up with a couple of billion quid's worth of debt, as far as I'm aware. But they are cash rich. They are investment rich. They've got a ridiculous income. You know, their revenue is, what have they got at the moment? Is it 400 million subscribers? Something like that.
Yeah.
They do a lot of deals with companies to, like, over here in the UK, I get Netflix for free through my Sky deal. I get it for free, but it's built into the cost, if you know what I mean. But you know, $5.99 or something, and Netflix gets some money of that, but they won't get as much as they would have done.
301 million.
And then Amazon is just
going to type that in.
About 280, something like that. And then there's a big gap. Disney Plus is, I think, 230, 240, something like that. I looked at that recently, and I went on the numbers.
Well, the other thing to consider, though, is that Netflix, their revenue per subscriber, if I remember, I mean, I just looked to make sure I was right, but it's about $17 per subscriber. So, you know, they're bringing in tons of revenue, but you're right, they spend a lot of it. But, you know, if they shuffle, I mean, they haven't been, you know, the entertainment industry across the board has been slowed down. They're not greenlighting things like they used to. They're not producing things like they used to. I mean, in this case, Paramount is an outlier in that they're trying to get as much Star Trek out as they can before the Secret Hideout deal is done. You know, in most cases, the production is slowed down. So I think there is a scenario where Netflix could get, like, you know, maybe like 2 billion, and then just assume a bunch of debt and maybe finally become like a real boy. I mean, a studio.
Do you think I've always had a bit of a suspicion.
Makes sense.
I actually spoke to a business guy that said they can't really do it. But I've always wondered, when Warner and Disco split back up again, that I would try and put as much of the money on Discovery as I possibly could, and basically let them go bankrupt, and then leave as much of the debt off Warner Brothers as possible to make it as attractive as possible and get as much money for shareholders as possible. Speaking to a business guy, said they will end up in court if they try to do that, because it could basically be argued as fraud. You have to that you have to be able to argue that that company owes that much debt, sort of thing. But I do wonder, what are you smirking at?
Here's and I have our own little thing going on in chat. We're listening.
I was Googling how much money. I was trying to figure out if there's 301 million subscribers, like Joshua just said, $17 a person. It's $4.5 billion of just subscription fees for Netflix every year. But Tony was pointing out that I looked very determined and focused while I was typing and trying to get in there.
Oops. It's math.
Yeah.
With the S.
Numbers, my downfall. Every time I do a video that has any maths in it at all, I always get it wrong. But I think Netflix would be very, very keen to do this because it also gives them access to a revenue and a IP that they've never had. They have to purchase things, and they've got deals with people like Sony and things like this, but it would basically give them a guaranteed IP that they've never had before. They would become the home of DC.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you.
Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and
God,
restore the Snyderverse.
They might trouble with Harry Potter actually though, because WB have always done deals already with people all over for that, so they might not be able to take advantage of that for the first 3 seasons. But there has been lots of rumors out there that as soon as Warner Brothers gets taken over, James Gunn will be out in his arse, and he'll be sacked immediately. And I have to do a video saying, where is this coming from? It makes no sense. But there is a lot of hate towards James Gunn, and that Superman was rubbish. The special effects were terrible. And I'm like, I think you watched The Flash again by mistake, because it wasn't. I'm sorry.
It was a good movie, I thought.
Yeah. Well, that's the special effects. At no point in The Flash, more than once, I sort of went, what the hell's wrong with that baby? Or what the hell's wrong with that thing? And, you watch the special effects going, did they do this with Play-Doh? I don't understand how this is so bad.
All I'll say about The Flash is that Michael Keaton, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native, did nothing wrong.
Oh, he was perfect in it, to be fair. He's the best bit.
I would
put all the rest of the movie out and just had Michael Keaton's bits. And I know it's only been 4 minutes long, but oh my God, that would have been a glorious 4 minutes. But yeah, the 90% of that movie is awful. I mean, properly awful, painfully awful. There was nothing in Superman that made me go, "Ooh, what was that?" And nothing made me sort of go, "Oh, what was wrong with that effect?" And it's other than saving the squirrel, which did make my wife next to me going, "Save the squirrel." That's weird.
That's what Superman does, baby.
It was not a Martha, why'd you say that name moment, but other than that, it was a bit weird. There was nothing in Superman. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I don't like Peacemaker season 2. I'm not enjoying it. I'm really struggling to watch it. I loved the first season. I'm struggling to watch the second. Every time I go on, shall I watch Elsbeth or shall I watch Peacemaker?
Oh, Elsbeth.
I'm watching Elsbeth. Just keep watching Elsbeth. But yeah.
Is everybody watching Peacemaker?
No.
I am, at least 3 of us.
All right, well, am I crazy or are there no people of color in that second dimension?
Yeah, that's the big, that's the prevailing theory.
Your boy had it first, though.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything, I guess. They've mentioned Amanda Waller there, and Amanda Waller had a position of power, so that's something, but...
It's an alternate to mention that it might be Nicole Kidman, played by, or something like that.
That'd be wild.
That would be hilarious.
But with the James Gunn thing, that gets into sort of the discourse and the because the way that social media was leveraged to get the Snyder Cut released, which again, I enjoyed most of the Snyder movies. I thought it was an interesting new take on it, very much of his style, and I think he was done very dirty by Warner Brothers. And again, during the time from Man of Steel to Zack Snyder's Justice League coming out, there were 3 executive regimes. There was Time Warner, and then AT&T bought it, made it Warner Media, and then AT&T was like, why did we get in the goddamn movie business, and sold it off to Discovery. So there were 3 executive teams, and each time these guys came in, they were like shaking things up or whatever. So, you know, unlike where like Feige gets to do something, or sort of now with like the Warner Brothers Discovery, you know, they seem to be like, all right, James Gunn, whatever you want to do, we're with you. Snyder never had that, nor the people who came after him. And
obviously Snyder went through a lot of personal issues during.
Yeah,
absolutely, a sincerely horrible tragedy. And that's the thing about the Snyder fans that get me, because they've done great work in like raising money for like you know, self-harm prevention and services like that. But then they also, after that, they got that movie, there were a lot of people who had a big audience and a lot of like online clout that no longer had a cause. And so that, I think, is the genesis of this like division between, or perceived division between Gunn and Snyder, when really the people they should be mad at are the Warner Brothers executives. I also think, I don't think Snyder, like, he's doing his own thing at Netflix. I don't think he's, you know.
Gunn and Snyder are buddies. I mean, like the Rick and Morty episode, I think that was like the second or third to the end of the season.
Oh my God.
Literally hilarious. The two of them.
I always said that people have sort of kicked off that Superman was different. But I was to say, comic books are quite like that. You either get sort of dark, gritty comics, or you get something that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. And Superman has had both over the years. Loads of times. Even Batman has, you know, they tend to do different runs of things, don't they? And so I would just say James Gunn's doing the slightly more tongue-in-cheek version.
It's straight Silver Age. James Gunn is doing Silver Age cinema.
Exactly.
And also, anyone listening that's curious about this, you know, after we're done here, Google Zack Snyder's Superman, or Zack Snyder made a Superman for a New America. It's an article I wrote at CBR. And I talk about how the character of Superman is still basically the same guy as he always is. It's just everyone else around him is different. Like, it's the post 9/11 Superman. This powerful guy comes and everybody's either terrified of him or they worship him. Like, it's like, there is a logic behind it. And it's, you know, I see why people don't like it, and people may be what people want. But like you said, Superman is 90 years old almost. There is no wrong way to do Superman comics accurate, because he's been everything in the comics.
I think there's another point as well to say that people kicked off about Nathan Fillion.
This one?
Because there you go.
Oh no, that's a different one. That was actually that was me being provocative, because
damn it, Harris, what's wrong with you? Can't find it.
Give me a second, I'm gonna find it.
You're looking. But I said they did Nathan Fillion's character, and they gave him the bob, which they had to do. They couldn't do anything. But it was a bit of a damned if you did, damned if you don't. If they hadn't have done it, a lot of people were going, that's not comic book accurate. And they did it, and they went, he looks stupid. And I goes, well, for one, the character's kind of supposed to, because he's supposed to be a bit of a dick. Yeah. But that's the thing. They do it comic book accurate, and people still moaned. And it's like, God's sake, you can have it one way or the other. I don't forget, it might be two completely different groups of people. But nobody, I didn't see anybody that go championing, he's done it comic book accurate. Yeah, brilliant. I didn't see that. I just saw Nathan Fillion look stupid.
I mean, it's the same problem that is sort of existing in the Star Trek fandom, in where there are people who, there he is. Yeah, that's the one. Yep. Jeez, oh my God, that was 2022. I wrote that so long ago. Yeah.
Henry Cavill's poo face.
Yeah. But, you know, there are people who have a vested interest in, you know, hating everything, stoking outrage, and, you know, making it seem like instead of it being like, you know, like, as you say, Jay, you're like, you know, I watched Strange New World season 3. I didn't like it. But what you're not saying is Alex Kurtzman did it on purpose because he hates me and Star Trek. And that's sort of like the thing that's going on.
Alex Kurtzman probably just hate me.
Yeah.
I mean, if he watches, he's definitely not fond of you.
He's not a fan. I try and be very fair with all the things I do, and I even did a video saying I'd enjoyed 3 episodes of Star Trek on the trot, and I'd not had that before. And a load of people sort of went, you know, you go and have a look at them again. And I was like, oh no, they're quite good episodes, but they're not Star Trek. And then that sort of turned me on it again. But they're saying about rage baiting. I know from doing a YouTube channel, and I try to avoid it, and I try to be even with what I'm saying. I really try really hard. But there is a back end thing in the back of my head going, if this is a negative video, more people will watch it. And that's just the truth. I do a video that's positive, and this is great. I love this. I might get 1,000 views. If I do something that's a bit more negative, I'll get 10,000. And it's just just the way YouTube works, unfortunately. And it's just it's sad.
Well,
so
I think your videos are ignorant and unfair. Hello, Secret Hat. I said it. Send the check.
Send the check.
Your Bitcoin.
Give me that shield money.
Yeah. Hit my crypto wallet.
I haven't been called a shill in ages. I used to have a YouTube channel. I've told you this before. I used to have like a mystery machine channel years ago talking about mysteries and things. I was always being called a shill. And I was like, oh, man. If Alex Kurtzman wants me to send me a check, if it's a big enough check, I will suddenly fucking love Star Trek. All of it. I'll go back and watch Discovery Season 1 and do a series of videos about how Discovery Season 1 is the greatest thing to ever happen to television. And that actually the plasticine pigging Klingons was genius. Just send me that check. Add a 0 on it if I've got to watch Discovery again.
I mean, I'm so excited to watch it after Enterprise.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
look,
proud.
the fact that they pay people to praise their shows makes perfect sense in a world where they don't even want to pay the people who make the shows. I mean, it's very silly to me. And now I do want to be clear. I'm not saying that everybody who isn't into the new Star Trek is insincere or bad faith or whatever. I think people who have legitimate complaints might get worked up or whatever because of that type of content. But, you know, we've talked about it before. The new Star Trek is always sort of like some fans have to go through the stages of grief with any new Star Trek that comes out. Like they come out like denial and then bargaining and whatever. And then, you know, when the series is over or a couple years later, they're like, oh, you know what? This ain't so bad. And
yes, the perfect example. People will come out and go in, Gene Roddenberry would be spinning in his grave. Star Trek is about getting out there, exploring, and to be fair, I agreed on the first season of this. No, it's not great. But people were like really angry.
Enterprise. I mean, I admit, even when Enterprise came out, I didn't hate it, but I was disinterested. And I remember thinking, I'll just catch the next show. Had to wait 12 years for it, but
and then you got Discovery, and you were like, "Oh, why?"
And then
why I wish for this.
I did eventually watch Enterprise, and I was like, "Oh, this is all right." But you know that's the thing that I think makes Star Trek so important to Skydance, and maybe why, you know, they don't need to like pick up the IP from Warner Brothers to make money, because Star Trek, the original series, is going to make money forever. TNG is going to make money forever. You know, all these shows are going to make money forever. And if they're smart enough to get the new stuff out from behind the Discovery paywall, put it on Netflix, put it on Prime Video, put it on Pluto TV, their free ad-supported streaming service, though people will find these new shows that, you know, may not even have a pre-existing relationship with Star Trek, and then the fan base will grow the way they want it to, the way it always has. And if Skydance if Skydance understands that, then I think Star Trek will be in good hands, because they know that what they're making it's not about the short term. It's always about the long term. Yeah. And if that go ahead. Sorry, I was.
If you were Paramount, though, you've just took on a Skydance. Have just took on one of the top 5 studios, and they've got a crap load to do. Would you say that there is any benefit? And I think we should go around the tiles on this, because I really realised me and Mr. Joshua have been saying we're doing most of the talking. But from a business point of view, is there any sense in then taking on an even bigger studio with even more debt? Remember, Warner Brothers owes $50 billion.
Yeah, that's right.
is there? I don't know how that's going to be split between Warner and Disco. Obviously, it'll be a little bit less, but it's another massive chunk of debt, and a studio like Paramount that's been losing money hand over fist, even though it has done better in the last 12, 18 months. Does that make any business sense at all? Or would it just make far more sense for you to get what you've got straight?
Well, something that comes to mind there that I don't necessarily know or I've seen any articles about or anything of the sort, but do we know if the proposed merger is a full merger with Warner Brothers Discovery in its entirety, or would it be partial mergers?
It's all insiders say background sources right now. Warner Brothers isn't even officially up for sale yet. I mean, all the stuff they're doing, like the way they're doing their accounting, the way that they're, sort of still reducing staff and cutting things and spinning off things. It looks like they're prepping for a sale. It's in terms of like official, it's all just sort of rumor still, but people who know are saying that it's gonna happen. In
its entirety, right? Like as a complete merger and not try to just sell off different pieces, or is that literally just
we don't even know exactly how Warner Brothers and Discovery, the split company, is. We don't even know quite what that's going to look like. Like they say what it's going to be, but it'll depend on that too, like how they split that up.
Well, to me, I just don't like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Harris.
No, literally, I was just saying that's gonna be funky.
Okay. No, I don't like the idea of Warner Brothers and Paramount getting together, because then you're just, it's becoming more of a monopoly kind of situation. So I like keep it like different. I really like the idea of Netflix merging with Warner Brothers. That seems to make more sense, where Netflix actually gets some real like studio space and stuff. I think that would be good. Monk also thinks, Apple should do it. I think that could work too. But I think it should be somebody other than Paramount. I think that just makes it too big, too monopoly-like.
Absolutely.
If it's between Apple, Netflix, and Warner Brothers, a twofer question-wise here. If it's between those three, we'll add Apple into the fold just because Apple likes to just, put their fingers in just to see if it's a viable option or not.
Right. They have a lot of cash, too.
They got plenty of cash. They're hanging. Is there a particular one of those companies that just immediately seems like the one that you would want, not just for, the Star Trek aspect of Paramount, but for Paramount as a whole? Excuse me, for Warner Brothers as a whole. Or would you like to see it split up and maybe DC goes to Apple and Warner Brothers main goes to Paramount, and maybe, I don't know, Discovery goes somewhere else that fits Discovery a little bit more. Like maybe Disney buys it out and lets it become part of the Nat Geo network or something like that. I don't know. Do y'all think the splitting up makes more sense, or would you rather see it at the end of the day go to one company and possibly become a monopoly?
That's hard to say.
Well, the company is splitting. Warner Brothers and Discovery, that is going to happen.
Right.
That's part of the plan, because they know that it's not quite working the way it is. For this, I'm sort of with Sarah in this. Now, again, I don't trust or love any of these sort of companies, but I would, between the three you mentioned, I would pick Netflix. One, because, like I said, Paramount, Warner Brothers, I like the idea of them remaining separate studios because of the history. Apple, they do have more money than God, but they also don't give a shit about entertainment. Like Apple TV Plus, I feel like is just a loss leader for them. Like their money is in, devices, headphones you got to buy extra and stuff like that. Netflix, though, the reason I think Netflix would be the best of those three is because, one, they don't have any other option. Like they're just a streamer, so this would, their motivation for purchasing this is, to answer Jay's question, I don't think there is any sense for Paramount to get Warner Brothers, other than the fact that I think David Ellison wants to have a big ass studio. Like he wants, because Paramount is a big deal, but it's a smaller, like if it's Paramount Warner Brothers, then they can go up against like Disney and
Right.
then he's a real heavy hitter. But that's why I think Netflix would be good, because I think
they have the largest studio space in California as well. They would dominate studio space in California.
I did not know that. But I think Netflix would just, I think they would embrace the tradition of Warner Brothers and not try to change it. Like they would be arriving in Hollywood as like, we're here to stay. So I think that they would be the least destructive to everything we like about Warner Brothers.
Paramount
of those three.
Netflix.
No, I think Netflix. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure Paramount would, Ellison and them might be fine. But again, you're going to have now nearly $70 billion in debt, and you're not even done juggling the merger you just made.
Yeah.
So slow down, David. I mean,
yeah.
I'm rooting for you, but slow down.
Monk brings up a couple of good points again. He says Apple would let Warner Brothers be Warner Brothers. Netflix will get rid of theatrical releases, and Paramount has their own issues, of course.
I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't
agree.
Netflix
would get out of cinema. Netflix has been desperately trying to get into the cinema.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my question: is do you think this would allow Netflix, if Netflix is to acquire Warner Brothers in the merger, would that allow Netflix to immediately have the say and sway to be able to put things in theaters more easily rather than try to play catch up?
Yeah, they would have distribution infrastructure.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is the distributor. Like it's a studio, but it's also a distributor. And distributor is that's where the power is.
Would that be the main driving force in the purchase, you think?
I think the studio space and the IP is the most valuable thing. But again, they would have this institutional infrastructure that they don't have currently. And I think a lot of people think about the streaming wars. Every studio was like trying to make the Netflix killer, which that doesn't make any sense because Netflix was a fucking customer. Like they're like, oh, you're one of our best customers. Let's destroy your business. So that's why I think that there is I think Netflix is like, for as powerful as it is with money and viewers and stuff, I think they're like not in the club in a way, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And I think that if Netflix got that studio, they would be like, well, we're Warner Brothers now too. And that would be different than.
That's exactly what Amazon.
That's what I was just thinking that Amazon, same thing.
But if you think about what Netflix loves, they desperately want an Oscar, and then they've thrown money into projects and put them into cinemas at loss leaders because they desperately want an Oscar, or any other awards. They desperately want that. They love animation because it makes them a fortune. Animation gets watched as much as almost everything else, but it costs a fraction to do. And Warner Brothers have proved over and over again that animation of things like Batman and everything else kills. That bloody Babylon 5 Road Home thing that wasn't very good made a fortune because Warner Brothers had enough sense to sell it on DVD, which nobody does. But everyone, Babylon 5 people, including me, bought the Blu-ray in there, and it wouldn't have been millions, but it was hundreds of thousands of sales, and it did very well. Everything about Warner Brothers, just Netflix must be looking at it salivating because it's a win-win-win. But the one downside is $50 billion worth of debt, and Zaslav thinks they're getting money as well. He's already said it. I would be happy if I just got rid of the debt, but they're not going to be happy, and the shareholders won't be happy. They want a few billion quid as well. I would be very interested to know who owes the debt, because somebody owns a chunk of that debt. And if whoever it is that owns that debt has got anything with anybody, they could just go in and say, well, you know what, we're taking over. And we're calling the debt in. So I think there's going to be twists and turns with this. But the main reason why everyone's going to be loving this is how often does this happen? That one of the biggest studios on the planet goes up for sale, and Disney had to give 70 billion quid to buy Fox because they basically had to force it. You know, I mean, the Fox was sort of like, yeah, we'll sell or we won't. How much money you got?
Well, how often does this happen? So far, 3 times in the past 10 years.
I was like every 7 years.
How often does this happen this way, that a studio is actually going up for sale? That is sort of thing. MGM was the last one that really went up for sale. Other times it's sort of been aggressive takeovers, mergers, whatever else. It's that, but actually to go up for the way it is, it's not rare. Don't get me wrong, because this is the studio. I used to play a game and when watching the Star Trek movie, says who owns Paramount? This game, this film. It's
Remember when the Star Trek movies were owned by a different company than the Star Trek shows?
Well, that's because Paramount split between Paramount and CBS, and that complicated crap for about 5 years.
Viacom was in there somewhere too. That was like
Viacom and back when Viacom were the owners, yeah. But before that, it was Gulf and Western.
That's right.
And it was Summit before that. But yeah, the Viacom split.
What if David Ellison doesn't actually want Warner Brothers? He's just putting out rumors that like, oh, we're interested in buying it. Because do you remember there was like 2 weeks where Warner Brothers was like, we're going to buy Paramount, and then Zaslav failed out? Like, what if that's like some kind of billionaire revenge?
I always thought it was, we're going to buy Paramount, and there must be somebody in the background going, how? And then they went, oh yeah. we haven't got any money at all. It's like, I go, okay, I think somebody else is going to buy. Sony tried to buy Paramount for about a week. I don't think that Sony have got the money. Sony aren't the business they were 20 years ago. No. So I'm not sure.
Sony's come out of the past 10 years smelling like roses. They didn't do a streaming service, and they just they do licenses and deals with everybody. They're in business with Disney. They're in business with Netflix. They got shit on it. Spider-Man Noir's coming to Amazon.
Yeah. They got a really good Amazon deal, yeah. No, I don't mean Sony as the production side of it. I mean Sony as a business. Sony 20 years ago was the big technology business, and that's still where the bulk of their money comes from. Sony is a thing. I actually think, is a very well-run, very tightly well-run business. They were losing money for a chunk, but they seem to have turned that around and, like you said, having the deals, and they were sensible enough not to try and go in their own streaming provider, which I think that came out very well in the end. Instead, they've got a really good deal with Netflix. All their new cinema releases go on Netflix first. So they've got really, really good deals.
Are you saying that
the bigger company is not what it was 20 years ago?
All right. Well, okay, because my question, as you were saying that, was, are you thinking that with the Ellisons coming in there, or just the singular Ellison, both the Ellisons, with the Ellisons coming in there saying
he's not doing anything with Daddy.
Well, with them saying like we're going to make this a technology company more so than just a film company, do you think they're leaning towards that Sony kind of business model, or like you said, Sony hasn't necessarily been as they're still plenty profitable in all these different areas, but are they going to still focus on the film aspect and maybe add some cool tech things to the repertoire? I guess I'm going to go to the bathroom as I say that. See what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, yeah, you can play back my answer, because I think that statement was pretty much. I think that it's like, I think it's part just current business buzz speak, because in the like venture capital finance areas, the buzzwords currently are a tech company, AI. What does it mean? No one really knows. I do think, unless his priorities have changed, I think that, David Ellison got into the game because, he met his father. I guess his father wasn't in his life, kind of started having a relationship with his dad. And he was like, he learned to fly planes and then started making movies and TV shows. I think that, I think for someone like him who, again, his family has more money than anyone in the world, I think. I don't think he cares so much about the profits right away. That's the only rationale for buying Warner Brothers, is because he's like, I want a big studio. He might not even care, because push comes to shove, a third of his dad's fortune will pay off the debt forever. I think that the business part of this has always been the problem. Like that is the enemy of sort of good art, or the best strategy for like getting stuff out there. And you want someone who is a creative executive who cares about not just how much money is this going to make this quarter, but what's this going to, what's the legacy? Is it going to last? And, you know, I don't know if anyone thinks long-term like that anymore, but I'm very strongly sure that David Zaslav definitely doesn't. And I think Netflix is trying to have a long-term future because, again, the second the next thing after streaming comes along, Netflix is done. That it's no, it'll be, it goes from 4.5 billion EBITDA to, or whatever it is, to nothing.
You say that though, but they've done it before because wasn't Netflix? Oh no,
It was a DVD company.
It was a DVD.
Yeah, it was the DVD by mail thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Streaming really quickly, so you never know. They might switch again. But
yeah,
I was going to say I don't know what's going to follow streaming, but something will. It'll be meta beaming it straight into our heads or something. But Netflix has already shown that they can adapt. But
Holodecks.
Oh man, I would. It'd be like a bloody Pollock movie if I had a holodeck. You wouldn't want to put anything. I mean, I would ruin holodecks. Actually, you know what I would do if I had a holodeck? I'd be like doing World War II fighting things, and like I wouldn't even do it for the dirt. I'd be like, I'd do it like that. I would be like, right, okay, I want to be on a battleship fighting the Nazis and things. I would be really bored if I had a holodeck.
I'd want to do Lord of the Rings or something, or The Hobbit.
That'd be great.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Just walking. I've been in the holodeck for 6 months walking to Mordor, and I love
it.
One does just not walk into the holodeck.
Yeah. But
yeah. Well, Monk just asked the question. I guess I did miss the last couple minutes of conversation there, but depending on where we are, is this a good place to pick up? Comcast would be interesting too. Committed to I can't speak anymore. Committed to the theatrical release window. Old school Hollywood. There are theme parks as well. I'd love that too.
Yeah, Universal, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The theme park aspect is something I don't think we've discussed, or a whole bunch of people are discussing. Is that something Warner Brothers wise, especially with Universal already having Harry Potter land and all the Harry Potter, Hogwarts, and everything involved in Universal, just theme parks? Does that make that more viable?
Nobody's mentioned them, but they're another company that are relatively cash rich.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got much debt at all, actually. Let's Google it.
Well, theme parks are struggling now because, again, we're still, like, at least in America, the economy is still not great. Like, buying power is not fantastic. And, you know, the theme parks are more and more expensive. So,
yeah.
That's true.
Do you know what Comcast's debt is?
What?
Oh, God.
75 billion.
Oh, no.
Sarah, 115.
Do you think it's... You don't play the game. You're not playing the game,
yeah.
Harris. Sarah,
Harris is like 75 billion and one.
175. 175.
Do you think it's lower or higher than 175? 175 billion. I
hope it's lower.
I really think that's serious. It's 175 billion.
Yeah.
But Harris, 175, higher or lower?
Then 175. I would hope it's lower, but the way you said it, I'm gonna guess 215.
No, no, it is lower. It's $101 billion. Oh,
jeez. Maybe because of all the cable infrastructure.
Investments in its network infrastructure, upgrades, expansion into services like wireless and home securities. The debt is substantial. Analysis consider it to be manageable with a debt ratio of 1.28 billion.
Yeah.
So their income must be insane.
Yeah, but they have like huge capital.
Yeah.
Expenses.
Comcast turnover.
Yeah, it's funny because I did see someone mention NBC Universal, and it's funny because I always forget them. And I think that might speak to sort of like the problem with that is that there's, you know, NBC Universal, they're not really shaking up the world. I mean, they had a good one with Jurassic World Rebirth. Like, it wasn't universally beloved. I mean, it was all right. I'll never get mad at dinosaurs eating people who shouldn't be on an island. But you know, I don't think they're quite, you know, especially with the decline of network, NBC isn't making money like it used to. Ad revenues aren't what they are.
Peacock's never really worked.
Yeah.
Right.
Not the
I
same.
mean, they have sports, but I don't know what
And
what sports
I think
deals they have right now. I don't know.
Trodden along at best.
But I mean,
Yeah.
it's the sports and the theme parks that kept Disney going at one point.
Yeah,
It was
true.
they had that were profitable. So,
Yeah, and I think that sort of gets to the larger problem of this. John Wick, isn't John Wick Universal?
I think it's Lionsgate, but it might be Universal as well.
Well, I think
don't know.
Universal distributes.
that's the
Okay.
thing. You're a distributor for a few companies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they got Transformers, but Transformers hasn't even done all that well
thought
the last few.
Paramount had Transformers.
Oh, that I think you're right. Actually, the second you said it,
Mhm.
Because Rise of the Beasts
Oh, the
ate it,
Mummy.
and that was a
Right.
big reason why.
Didn't they try to bring back like the Dark Universe or something? It was called. I
Dark
don't know.
Universe.
yeah.
Such a hilarious time.
Brendan, it may actually be in a new Mummy movie.
I think they have it in their theme parks,
Hilarious.
though, don't they? Some Dark Universe in their theme parks.
Yeah, I think they still do.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that I actually think, like, does
Mhm.
Paramount or Warner Brothers have a theme park? They have a studio tour, don't they?
Mhm.
They have
Warner
studio
Brothers licenses stuff out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Harry
and
Potter.
those theme park deals are, because especially when they were made, like
Mhm.
no studio was thinking like, oh, we'll eventually be this mega corporation where we want a theme park. Like I forget, is it Universal where there's like some Marvel characters that Disney just can never get back because of the deal that was made when Marvel was
To
Toy
Google.
Biz?
Yeah,
It would make sense because they're in a similar boat with The Simpsons, I believe.
Yeah,
Because The Simpsons is a Fox property, but they've always been part of Universal theme parks, and they have some kind of deal there
Right.
where it either lasts till a certain time period, and then they have to like haul everything out of there real quick.
They
Or-
Universal have got all the theme park rights to Marvel characters, and Disney have been trying to buy it apparently for years. And Universal just went, "Nah, you're right."
yeah. Give him
Yeah,
this.
they're like, we're not letting go of that.
Marvel at Disney theme parks. They must have had some sort of deal because
My turn to step out of it.
Yeah, I mean that's like I said, I think part of the problem with the big corporation mega stuff is that it is not about like it's about so much more than just like making good movies and TV shows. And there's all this vertical integration, so there's not as many people to sell them to or license them to make money. And it is a business; it has to make money. And I think that's why, we get stuck with things like 4 to 6 episode seasons that take 3 years because they wait until till 6 months after it's aired before they even decide to renew it. And you want someone in charge of whatever studio who wants to make movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
And Disney will never stop because that's always been part of the business, but it's also now the movies are the commercials for the theme parks and for things like that. And then they got the sports thing. And it's just, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why consolidation of media is bad. These media companies is bad. But then again, it's better than them going out of business. Like if the choice is merge Paramount and Warner Brothers together, or both studios go under, I'll reluctantly take that first choice because I like that Warner Brothers exists. I like that we have these 100-year-old or close to it studios. Like there is, I don't know. We're more sentimental, us Yanks, Jay. So
No. We have castles that are 1,000 years old.
Oh, that's true.
Sentimental about things as well. We don't tear down buildings there is a house near me, and we call it the Wonka Cottage, and it's literally like bloody this. It's been there 450 years, and it's protected. We won't tear it down, even though it is a death trap, and there are people living in it. I don't know how. No, we are way more sentimental than you guys. But I do know what you mean. We're not so much with our businesses, though. Actually, I have to admit, we're not so much with that.
Yeah.
And we
Well,
let
again,
our companies go.
People here don't like businesses. Like, I mean, there's a
No.
reason why the late night drama this week, people were so mad at Disney, and you
Yeah.
know, because they see Disney as this big sort of corporate entity now. But like, there was a time where Disney was the Little Mermaid and Mickey, and like we love it when it's, you know, this thing that entertains us, but when it becomes this big fucking money squid with tentacles all over the place, it you know, the opinion shifts. And again, I also think that they don't know what they're doing. I think they don't understand where the industry is headed. And I think that the reason we're seeing a slowdown in like greenlighting stuff and making stuff is because studios are kind of just waiting to see where things settle and how things fall. And you've got your people like, you know, your Marvel Studios and the other sort of cinematic juggernauts, and then like A24 over here making weird, quirky shit. Are they really the only thing we got going on to tide us over? I don't agree that like theaters are going to go away, but at the same time, when I took myself, my mother, my kid, and the boyfriend to see Dune Part 2, tickets and snacks were as much for that one movie, that 3 hours in the cinema. I spent as much as I do for a month of all the streaming services.
Yeah.
You know, there is, you know, again, and if purchasing power goes up, things might change, but yeah, the business is, as always, getting in the way of our good time and having all the Star Trek, the Star Trek that I'm enjoying, the Star Trek Jay wants, Star Trek Sarah wants, and the Star Trek that would make Harris start watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
Just watch Star Trek, you hairy bearded nutter. It's so much better than Star
You
Wars.
started Enterprise, which I don't know if that was the best place to start, but
Yes. I remember first time we talked, he's like, I'm going in chronological order.
I
was like,
don't do it. It makes
I'm so excited.
Just watch it. It'll all make sense.
And anyway, if you're doing it chronologically, don't you start with Disco anyway? No, it isn't.
You know, it's still
Enterprise.
It's Enterprise, then Discovery, season 1, 2, then Strange New Worlds, right?
Yeah. Don't.
You know my theory. I think because of time travel, release order is proper chronological order.
Yeah, because Strange New Worlds has got nothing to do with the original series. It's so
no,
it's just not that. In Britain, we don't like making money, so we're not big fans of companies. We think if you make profit, it's distasteful.
Yes, it's
and you definitely shouldn't make people know you've made money. It's distasteful, and it's a throwback from the Empire, I think. Whereas it was, even if you were really, really wealthy, you sort of had to try to pretend you weren't. But yeah, we don't like it. All the wealthy people went to America and set that up instead. It's like, let's go somewhere we start business and not get moaned at.
Yeah.
These big corporations, though, they're still ran by people. There's going to be a point, and the whole unpleasantness in the week. A lot of people are saying that Hippo. That it's your fault, mate. If you don't say Hippo, I'm going to keep talking. He hasn't been fired. Disney haven't made a decision. There are people at Disney that can't make their mind up what to do. They know there's going to be repercussions if he comes back. They know it'll be a problem for them. And Disney are desperately trying to shake off this whole woke label that they gave themselves.
Right.
So they know if Kimmel comes back, we're just going to get yelled that we're woke again. And it's like, we're going to be bloody called liberals again. So they don't know what to do.
Was he getting good ratings anyway? But I don't know.
Well, no late night talk shows.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that Kimmel's budget hasn't ever been like officially published, but I would strongly guess that it is less than the $100 million a year that the Late Show was. But the thing, and this is the thing that, again, I just looking at fan reaction and people punishing Disney, there is part of me is like, when someone's being extorted, you don't punish the victim. You don't go after the victim of the extortion for paying the bribe. Like that's sort of what this is. And people see, the thing about boycotts is like boycotts, you have to have a strategy, because if everyone cancels their Disney Plus and Disney loses a lot of money, Well, now they have fiduciary or cover to say, oh, it's our fiduciary responsibility. We have to cancel Kimmel now because we've lost all this money. Because the affiliates were the ones who pressured Disney to take the to suspend the show, and the company Nexstar that did that pressuring is in the middle of a merger that needs FCC approval.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, I think it's a very familiar story to all of us. But if you really give a shit about Kimmel and you want to try something to pressure, what you do is you'll watch your local Nexstar station, and then you see what local commercials are played. And then you call those companies and say, hey, if you keep advertising on Nexstar, or if Nexstar doesn't play Jimmy Kimmel or whatever, we're going to boycott you. And then those advertisers are going to call their sales reps, and now you're playing ball.
Right.
But that also takes some effort. The other funny thing about the late night thing is they're talking about punishing these corporations. No one was talking about, hey, let's all start watching The Late Show and make it such a ratings hit that it's financially irresponsible to cancel it.
Right.
It's I actually don't even know what my point is. That's just irked me.
I think Late Show though is almost a bit like news.
It's in there.
News channels, they don't really make money, and it's not really about making money.
Oh, they used to. They used to
Yeah.
make a lot of
I think it's more about, you have guests on that advertise other things you're doing. It's almost like a 45-minute, hour-long advert for other stuff. I think you do it as a loss maker, and also they do tend to be quite a big mouthpiece. And also, remember, these things do really well on YouTube. That actually generates income and generates interest as well.
And it's a prestige thing too. Like the Tonight Show goes back to the 50s. The Late Show was created by David Letterman, one of the greatest ever late night hosts. And and I think the thing that's really telling is that the Late Show is being retired. Like, if they were replacing Stephen Colbert with some other host, okay, now you're making a real good case for that's fishy. But the fact that they're I think they wanted to get rid of the Late Show entirely, and I think the fact that that the current administration was not displeased by that was just a bonus. The Kimmel thing, I think, was very different.
Yeah.
The affiliates are sort of holding hostage the hour of that Kimmel would be on, and if they don't show the Kimmel, they don't make the money, and that's sort of the problem. And that is I don't know how they get out of it. I just know that the FCC should not be trying to, regulate the substance of the content unless it's like the 7 words or flashing some nip, hanging brain, anything that you can't do on network TV.
You should always flash a nip. I mean,
I knew that's where he was going to.
It's just good. It's just good manners.
I know, it's polite. Yeah.
There's a reason Showtime and HBO do as well as they do.
I flash my own nips, given every chance I get.
We don't need to
do it now.
No.
Can we have the one with the tattoo on it? Okay.
Not watching.
I'm just showing off my tattoo. And
that's all.
There you go.
Guess all right, what? Now the FCC is gonna.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
They're coming for us.
It's never. I need to get it finished. It's supposed to be a 7. It's not a fucking 7. Sorry, as a Man United fan, 7 is very important to me.
Okay.
And that's not a 7. I've always moaned at the guy that did it, but I've never got round to actually finishing it because I got too old and not asked. But yeah. So anyway, did everybody like my nipple? Get in the comments. It's a good nipple, right?
Well, so it's not necessarily from the perspective of the late night show or anything like that, but it is.
Comment on my nipple, then. It's not necessarily it's a good nipple. It's a bad nipple.
I was just trying to.
I heard David Ellison is preparing a bid.
For
my nipple?
Yeah, man.
Nipple. Oh God! I don't want to sell my nipple. I mean both. I don't suppose what she gives me.
Well, just the thought process, real quick, because it came from watching a video from Joke World, which is comedian-based comic world, yada yada. So it's from that kind of vein of comics, and they brought up a great point by showing an old, I believe it was a Carson clip where Carson says, and I think it goes into what you were saying earlier, Jay, is they've ended up taking losses and they've become loss takers rather than the money makers that Joshua mentioned a minute ago, because they used to make a bunch of money. And I think where it went wrong was, surprise, politics. And Carson has a really good quote where he says, when late night show hosts start taking themselves too seriously and putting their own thoughts out there, they take themselves too seriously, and so on and so forth. The show changes fundamentally what it is. It's no longer comedy and hey, this is
made jokes about the president every late night. That's what they've done.
Well, sure, but whenever they become too self-serious in the sense of we got to give you and it's, I'm not specifying anybody or anything, because all late night, like you said earlier, has plummeted rating wise, monetary wise, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, linear TV has plummeted.
Of course.
I mean,
it all has, yeah.
What was the last? I think 22% of all television watching in America was linear TV, network and cable combined.
The Daily Show with Jon
Maybe even less.
Yeah, the Daily Show with Jon Stewart survives because they then put the episodes on YouTube the next day and get 20 million views.
Well, that was the thought.
The Daily Show gets because I checked that, I looked up the rating. It gets 2.3, 2.5 million, I think. At least when Stewart hosts. The Daily Show is Daily Show and South Park are propping up Comedy Central currently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Comedy Central. I'll just have a look at the last video about Daily Show.
Well, the thought that I guess ultimately came from that was because, I think that's a great point where Kimmel has, I think someone mentioned earlier, 21 million YouTube subscribers. Tris DiStefano is a comedian that guest hosted earlier in the year for Kimmel whenever he was gone for a week or two and had just a bunch of guest hosts come in and do that. And, this is a comedian that, he's a comedian that podcasts, yada, yada, used to smaller production scales and said it was the most amazing thing. And it was a really well-oiled machine. He couldn't appreciate it more and thought the Kimmel machine was awesome. But there were about 200 people on staff is what he said. And the question that the Joke World interviewer was asking him was, do you think you could minimize that to 10 people in a room with an audience and put it on YouTube instead? And is that more financially responsible for these companies to do? If Kimmel already has more YouTube subscribers than he's getting on a normal basis, he doesn't have 21 million people tuning in every night, but the clips in the next day are going to do better than what he was going to do that night before anyways. Why not switch it to the new medium of where it's going to be less financially irresponsible and can actually start making a profit again? And if people don't want to tune in, they're not forced to tune in for that hour. They can just decide to keep going on, keep scrolling or not.
The only thing I'd say about Kimmel, and the difference between Colbert, Kimmel, and the other one whose name was just going out of my head.
Fallon.
Stewart?
Not Jon Stewart. The other one. The one that was
Jimmy
in
Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. Thank you. I liked it. It did feel that Kimmel took the whole Trump thing really personally. I mean, his Colbert is always mocking Trump, but he did it. It was funnier when I Kimmel seemed to take it really personally. And you watch a lot of the clips, and he is visibly angry and visibly upset. And that maybe is it's tipping over from comedy into something that's a little bit more serious. And don't get me wrong, I think Kimmel's hilarious. I think he's so funny. But and the whole Matt Damon thing that has gone on for God knows how long is just gold.
It's great.
He just seems to take it a little bit more personally than Colbert. And don't get me wrong, Jon Stewart, when he's in his more serious side of him comes out, he is very emotive, but it is the comedy first when it comes to the Daily Show, at least. And you remember seeing him talking to the Senate about the 9/11 survivors and how they were treated, and he is visibly pissed off.
Oh yeah.
You don't quite see that on the Daily Show. It is, and don't get me wrong, the Daily Show as well. They will take the piss out of, and they're taking the piss out of the Democrats. It's just that the MAGA and Trump are giving them more ammunition at the moment. It must be a dream for those guys. They just watch the news every day and go, "Well, it writes itself." But they were just as quick to mock Obama and mock everybody else. That's what they do. Kimmel felt like it was a little bit more personal. And that's,
I mean, it's an interesting thing because, you know, comedy's subjective. You know, I'll be honest, I'm not a late night guy. You know, pretty much once Conan O'Brien went to the Tonight Show, even long before that, I kind of just wasn't a late night guy.
wasn't
That
that like
said,
40 years ago?
it's true. I'm very old. But, you know, looking at it this week because of the interest, like I've been looking at stuff, I find Kimmel, his monologue stuff, I find his stuff to be more comedic and at least more framed like jokes. I mean, who's to say what's funny, but at least more framed like jokes than Colbert's stuff. Like Colbert's feels more to me like almost like a lecture in a way, or you know,
I actually agree.
But that's
but I think they approach it separately. Does that make sense? I totally agree. I just think Kimmel has the more, I think his script writers and joke writers are definitely setting it up more, but his approach, like Jamie was saying, is more personal, where Colbert is, I think he's coming at it from that personal approach, but he's just so kind of like, hey, and it's a fun thing. That's, I think, why Colbert comes off as a little more jovial. And
remember that he learned his craft on Daily Show. So it was across the thing. The other one is John Oliver, but I think John Oliver comes at it from a. I mean, there is the humor and self-deprecating because he knows he's British and he knows he's going to get cracked for that. So it's very self-deprecating humor as well. But he is like serious, ridiculous, stupid joke, serious, you know. And he makes really good, and he rants. He talks so quickly. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. He does like 30-minute segments too, you know. And he doesn't have guests. You know, the late night, like the Kimmel Late Show, even the Daily Show, they have guests and stuff. The only other thing I want to add on the sort of the late night topic is, and you know, before I was an entertainment guy, 20 years covering politics, I will just say that, like, you know, the taking the piss out of the both sides is what they should do, and whether they do it or not, that's sure. But what we have now is very different in an extreme way than anything we've really had before.
Yeah,
you know, it's not normal at the moment.
Yeah, and it's you know, for a government agency just said that, like, if reporters report information that the press secretary doesn't, you know, it's the Pentagon, that if they report on any information that's not approved by the Pentagon press secretary, they will have their credentials banned. And the job of a reporter to get the truth is you publish, you know, what you can confirm. And just, again, not to let the hippo hammer fall, I'm just saying that is not a norm. Like, the idea of, like, hey, if you report on this story,
I gotta go. Nice meeting you, Josh.
It was a pleasure,
Sarah. I'll be on again. All right.
We got to do this again and actually talk about Strange New Worlds.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.
No, do you know that whole thing with the Pentagon? And they said, we're going to, this is all not true and it's all fake news, but we are going to prosecute the people that leaked it. And I'm like, that sounds like it's true.
Not for nothing.
A bit like it's true.
I covered the Obama administration, and during those 2 terms, there was a lot of ungreat things done with respect to journalists. Not nearly on the level that's happening now. So everything now is very strange. And, you know, it's I wonder what would happen if the ratings for Colbert and the ratings for Kimmel were like football rate, like if they was like the highest ratings.
Yeah.
You know, because there's an element to this, again, because of the money ruins everything, that if it's losing money already and it's creating a problem this way, like, there's cover then to do what Paramount did. You know, and I understand Disney's pissing its pants because, you know, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. And, you know, they could bring Kimmel back and then, you know, they could get FCC fines, have their license threatened, which, again, very unnormal for the way things work for us Yanks. So yeah, there's this, and even without all that, the entertainment industry is sort of fighting for its life to survive because everybody's doing things so differently now. Like, you have you have people. I have family plans on all the streamings, and my kid and my mom spend most of their time watching YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've got HBO, Paramount. You can watch all the Star Trek, and she's like, I'm watching this lady paint dolls and turn them into art, and I'm like,
I paid for my kids were 6 years old, and I was paying for the Cartoon Networks on our Sky package because it was a bolt on for all the cartoon channels.
Of course it is. That's how they get you.
And I suddenly realised after about 6 months I was the only one watching it because they were all watching YouTube, and I was just like, well, I'm watching the animated series of He-Man, so it pays off, sort of thing. And I was the only one watching it. I was watching.
I remember when I was probably middle school age, probably 11, 12-ish, something like that. There was just something where me and I feel like everybody else I knew around that time, which, that's probably 2011-ish, 2012-ish, somewhere around that time. I mean, grew up watching Disney Channel and Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and all these other little things. And I think about that middle school age, we just stopped watching all of it and didn't stop watching it, but YouTube became the more prevalent thing, and it has not.
Oh, so you were like in the transitionary period there.
Very much so. I was like, I think 7 or 8 when the world went digital, and I kind of remember it, but I remember more my parents talking about it. But it's just it's interesting, I guess.
We live in a completely different world to what I grew up in.
Same here.
Grew up in.
I mean, if you'll indulge me in plugging my CBR stuff again, when they released Superman to buy for purchase on digital ahead of the Peacemaker debut, I guess 5 weeks ago now, I was shocked because Superman was still in theaters and still making money.
Oh yeah.
And my favorite Christopher Reeve super movie. Now, I'm not saying the best one. I'm saying my favorite one is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. The reason is because it's the only one I was old enough to see in the theater and remember seeing.
Okay.
And not only that, again, I don't know how they did it across the pond, but for the way they did it here is they would have a movie and like it would debut in a theater, and then would do a run there, and then it would go to what was called like a second run theater, where you'd have like a little bit of cheaper tickets, not quite as nice bit of stuff, and it would play there for a few weeks, few months, and it would go to a third run theater. That's your dollar cinemas and stuff like that. And so it would be like Superman 4. I don't know if it was like consistently for a year in theaters, but I know I saw it when it came out, and I saw it like 6 months later, and then it came to the third run theater that was like a block from my house, and I swear to God I saw it 10 times. And I was also like 7 or 8, so like the perfect age for a movie that didn't make as much sense as that. And it's just it's and then I don't think it came out on home video until I was like 12 or 13. Like it would take years.
Yeah.
And that would, and you look at
what Disney used to do was they wouldn't have their films in constant release on video. It would be a big deal. Like, we're releasing Snow White for 6 months.
Snow White's going in the vault. We have to get it.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't release it. And then after 4 or 5 years later, they released a special edition of Snow White because it's got something. And I always thought that was fucking clever because it made them special.
Yep.
And they've forgotten about that now. Disney Plus, straight away, as soon as the movie's done, it's on Disney Plus. Yep. Thunderbolts is already on. I'm waiting for Fantastic Four. It'll be on in a few
I'm surprised Fantastic Four isn't out. Is it out for digital purchase yet?
Not just yet. Well, I think it might be for digital purchase. Maybe not on streaming just yet.
Especially when they don't make money. They push it out on digital real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on Disney Plus not long after it goes on digital purchase.
Yeah, but that is, I think, the biggest threat to theaters is that exclusivity window. And it's a dumb idea because, I mean, look, you'll never hear me complain about all the Marvel shit we've gotten since Endgame. When I was a kid, first comic book convention I went to, I don't even know if it was legitimate, but I bought this thing that was supposed to be James Cameron's script for Spider-Man. And
Ooh, the 90s.
I'm not, because of the next part of the story, I'm not going to tell you how old I was. After I finished reading it, I cried a little bit because I was like, if James Cameron can't make Spider-Man, they're never gonna make Spider-Man. So like that chubby little nerd who cried after reading Spider-Man, he's watching all these Marvel movies with me, and so like I never forget sort of the joy of it. I mean, even I think the hands down the least effective Marvel Studios project of all time is that Secret Invasion show, and I had such high hopes for it. But even that, I think, you know, I enjoyed some of it. But here's the thing: my job, it's my job to watch these shows, and even I have a hard time keeping up. You know, and I think that's part of the reason, given the expense. But you know, why would you run out to see Fantastic Four, pay all that money when you're like 3 Marvel movies in a series behind, and it's going to be out in a month anyway? Like they've killed the business guys are fucking up the business. And that's why we're, you know, we have these studios losing money, why everybody has to merge, why they're scared of regulators and stuff. Like, God, imagine Robert, like, I don't know if you got how much you guys know about Hollywood history, but if they're the former head of Paramount, the one who was there to make like Love Story and The Godfather, Robert Evans. I mean, I try to imagine what would have happened if like Nixon had come to Robert Evans and be like, you better not put that movie out. Like he would have made a movie about that and put it out, you know, like it would have been, you know, there was an integrity and a courage. Like it's, of course they still made money then, but like there is right now, this moment,
as well.
Everyone's so uncertain in general and so scared. These companies don't have the same backbone that they did.
Is
years
it
ago.
the backbone, or as you were saying that, because I was thinking earlier of asking y'all, do y'all think we should go back to the scarcity aspect of, okay, maybe it's not available 24/7, 100% of the time. You can go click it and go to it, because it almost numbs us to just, first of all, there's so many new shows on every different freaking streaming service every day now, where it's just so much to keep up with for your average Joe. Would that scarcity kind of bring it back to us, and would it help not just us as an audience kind of lose that numbness that we've gotten towards it, but would it help the studios, like what you're just saying, that it's not like they're trying to do wrong or right, they're just trying to make a quick buck. But in doing so, have they become numb to the best way to do that, and actually, like what we always go back to, focus on the art to make money. Story comes first no matter what. If all they're doing is, you know, repeat this, rinse, wash, so on and so forth, are they just as numb as we are as an audience, and they've lost the ability, seemingly at least, to bring us something good, I guess, without
what Disney used to do, and what they've done on Disney Plus is not. And it's almost like there's what you think you want and what you actually need are two different things. And I'm always telling that to my kids, because I know you want to eat all that ice cream before your tea, but what you need is for me to sit you down and go, no, that's not a good idea, and to say no. And I think it's almost like there's an element of that. Disney would do better if it didn't have all of its animated things on all the time, 24/7, and it created a little bit of scarcity. And not only would then the movie, when you do release it on for a few months, do better, but also your other stuff would do better as well, because you would have a little bit more. Well, you wouldn't go, I'm not watching that new thing, so I'm just going to watch the old thing again.
That's what people do now. That's how people use streaming. I mean,
Stargate.
If you ever look at the originals versus acquired stuff on that Nielsen site, acquired's always killing it. Like, you know, it's very, like, there's in the full top 10, there's always a couple acquired that, I mean, Lost for three times in the past year, Lost has been the #1 streamed show. Yeah. And again, because it's minutes watched or whatever, people are like binging the shows like crazy.
Yeah.
You know
Babylon
what I mean?
5 was a few years ago. Babylon 5 went on HBO for 2 years, even though it had been made 30 years earlier. and it hit the Nielsen top 10.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
people binged it. It's like, yeah,
I don't think that like I think if you took away streaming, I think people would not like that, and I think that wouldn't quite work the way you think. I do think though that there should be a wait for stuff to come out, and again, I think there's so much good stuff out there, and because good is relative, I mean, I think the rich cowboy shows are not good at all. People love them, and I don't begrudge people liking that. You know, I watch the Star Treks, I watch the superheroes. Some people don't like that. I think there is a thing though where we are where I was when Enterprise came out. Everyone is taking everything for granted. I mean, you know,
yeah, it's a problem, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean,
almost.
Nerds, like we are getting so much of the stuff we love. And the thing that I cannot figure out is why everyone is so pissed off about it. You know what I mean? Like even if you hate third wave Trek, even if you hate it, all the Trek you love still exists and is available for you right there. Like there are people who, and again, I also understand how Star Trek fans work. Like hate watching, that's kind of part of your thing. Like you love to hate Star Trek and watch it. Like I get that part too, but you know there's this thing. Like I've had people tell me when talking about whether Secret Hideout should go away or whatever, or Star Trek should go away, because they can't imagine that it won't come back, and they're like, so it should go away. It needs a break, and that may be true. That may be true. I think the reason Marvel's struggling is because it's the only one that's never gone away. Like Star Wars went away, Star Trek goes away, Indiana Jones has gone away. But you know, when TNG launched, there was no sequel series to like a show from before that ever outperformed its predecessor. So Star Trek got middling ratings, ran for 3 seasons. TNG was supposed to run for 1 and do worse. And instead it got higher ratings and went for more than twice the run. Spin-offs, like the whole second wave of Star Trek, like everyone thinks of it as like, oh, it was inevitable because why would they, you know, they'll just start. It shouldn't have happened. It should not have happened. And again, there were the rough roads, like DS9, what, a space station, war, people who aren't in Starfleet. That's not Star Trek. Well, no, it wasn't Star Trek till Star Trek did it. And, you know, then you get Voyager, Enterprise and all that. And, you know, I think there is this thing where we think that this stuff is inevitable. And like, you know, sure, yeah, if Star Wars goes away, all the Star Wars we love is still going to be there. If Star Trek goes away, you know, if superheroes go away, we have 10, 50 times more superhero stuff than we had before this, you know, before X-Men or Spider-Man or the MCU started.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a bit of like, if it goes away, we'll still have the stuff we love, but you know, the continuation of this is not taken for granted. And like I said, even if you don't like what they're making now, you know, every time I went to see a Marvel Studios movie, I was not supporting that movie. I expected it to suck, and I was buying the ticket to support the next one because maybe that one would be gotten right, you know. And I think there's
movie at the cinema. I watch every single Marvel movie at the cinema, and even once it's not been great, I will still go watch the next one.
Well, at this point, it's a completionist thing. We've all spent so many, not just minutes or hours, but days, months, years of our lives either preparing for or getting excited about or talking about and discussing the Marvel movies. Why not finish them at this point?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look, I go see movies that I don't even give a shit about sometimes. Like,
I went to go see him 2 nights ago.
Yeah,
not good. Not good, sadly.
And you know, it's also funny too, just to talk about like franchises and corporations and stuff. I always hear people say like, oh, it's all sequels, reboots, and franchises, and you know, why don't they make original movies now? Well, I was in the theater for Mickey 17. I was in the theater for Love Hurts, the Ke Huy Quan like romantic. I was in the theater for Sinners.
Yep.
Although that one was actually a little different. But I'm just saying, I go to all these like original movies that people say don't exist. and it's me and my friends in there by ourselves.
Yeah, my roommates and I went to go see The Long Walk last night, which is a Stephen King adaptation. If anything, should be at least getting a few, excuse my French, asses in seats. It should be a Stephen King book. We were one of, I think, 5 people in the theater, and there's 3 of us. So there's 2 other people, you know, like, I think there were 3 other people. There was one guy in front of us and a little couple down in front.
I was just saying, I've got to go, but I think studios are now using the cinemas as like basically a massive advert for movies. If a movie breaks even, they're happy because they know they're going to make their money on home cinema and then streaming. And that's where they make their money. It used to be merch and buying DVDs. And if a movie broke even, they were happy. Now and that's where they made their profit, sort of thing. Now they make their profit streaming and behind cinema.
Well, and then you get your odd movie like Maverick or Deadpool and Wolverine or Barbie or whatever, and that just blows up and makes $1 billion, and that'll subsidize some other stuff. But yeah, like I said, I think the part of the problem is that the business guys fucked up the business, and they're in charge of like determining what art gets made. And you know, I think that's why we're in the problem we're in. And you know, for better or worse, Secret Hideout was making Star Trek. Like they were making the Star Trek they wanted to make. You know, they weren't making it to, I mean, they got mandates from the studio. Like, we want new fans. We want it to be a little different. We want this and that, and that. But like, it was not about, like, they weren't trying to like, oh, this is the Star Trek that's going to advertise the theme park or whatever, you know? So it's, I'm hopeful for the future of Star Trek with Skydance. I hope they don't buy Warner Brothers, because I don't know how they would be able to manage DC any of that, Star Trek any of it, with all that stuff going on.
I think so.
And you know, I'm just enjoying the fact that we get more Star Trek, more Star Wars, more superheroes, as long as I can.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I just got one last question for Mr. Joshua. Have you done your hair on purpose to look like Data from All Good Things?
Oh no, that's just natural. It's natural. I used to have the white stripes along the side here, the Doctor Strange stripes on the goatee. But
well, you are
now it's all gray.
Magnificently looking Data from
I'm shocked nobody's noticed the beautiful Anson Mountain hair right above you.
Yeah, that's where my hair stops.
It's glorious.
Well, listen, we have to. We ended up getting too caught up in the business that we have to do this again, so I can explain to you why your opinions are shit about Strange New Worlds.
And I can explain to you why I'm wrong. But no, that
why you are tasteless numpty.
Conversation of each episode going, oh yeah, I like that. I like this episode as well. I quite like this. There was 2. I think only 2 episodes I really didn't like in the entire season.
What was the one where you were like, I like this episode, and then you put out a video the next day? It's like, wait a minute, no, I didn't.
It's genuinely that individually, I like the episodes. The only one I didn't like was the murder mystery episode, I think. When I was actually like, I don't like this episode. Individually, they're quite good episodes. They're just not Star Trek. That was what my... I actually think this whole season was a little bit mediocre. It wasn't as good as seasons 1 and 2. It just wasn't, in my opinion. But... they didn't have anything like enough Star Trek. And I think each season they've got less Star Trek in somehow. And that was what actually, I'm always open to changing my mind. And I had a load of comments on that video. And then I sort of stopped and thought about it. I thought, I'm going to watch those episodes again. So I watched them again. And then I thought, no, they're right. Even though individually they're very funny, or they're generally they're funny or whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's a really funny, the 4 Vulcans. It's a really funny episode. It's not Star Trek. And that's what sort of made me change my mind. So yeah, it was all my lovely subscribers changed my mind.
We'll get into this the next time, but like I said a little bit earlier, everything that's Star Trek wasn't Star Trek till Star Trek made it Star Trek. So
yeah, but I think
what Star Trek is means different things to different people. I mean, like there are people who I still hear from every so often. There are people who started Star Trek with DS9, and so they think like every other Star Trek's all right, but none of it is real Star Trek like DS9.
So let me correct myself then. It's not sci-fi. I would say 7 episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds isn't sci-fi. It's either a comedy, or it's a zombie movie, or it's not sci-fi. And that's
zombies are inherently look. I like how you took an even broader like genre term and be like, it's not that.
I would actually say that
I will
zombie
counter with
movie-
there are science things in there, and it is fiction.
Oh yeah, but they were science things that made no bloody sense. So you can have zombies, but a lot of the time it's like it's some virus. In Star Trek, it was a flower, and it turned everybody into zombies.
I guess would a better way of saying that be because Star Trek is typically hard sci-fi, that maybe Strange New World season 3 went a little soft sci-fi? Or
I mean, I think the technobabble enhanced seed inspiration for the zombie thing makes more sense than the fucking naked time virus thing. I mean, I will again not to shit on. Again, you are allowed to like whatever you do or don't for any reason, but I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of science things that don't make sense in Star Trek.
There is, but it's always at least.
Remember when Spock was alive without his brain?
No, we're ignoring the original series because that was in times fucking mental. TNG, DS9, Voyager though, always tried to base, and remember when they had consultants on set, they always used to try to base.
Yeah, but do you know how the consultants worked?
Shut up, Joshua. Wait. They always tried to base it on something that was theoretically in the. This is why we had the in the transporters we had the thingy compensator, which I've never forgot the name of. Eisenberg compensator. That's not right. Yes. So we always had things like that, right? And even though it's not technically true, or they've used a theory badly to let the story happen, or they would occasionally throw in. My channel is called the Tack and Pulse Podcast for a reason, because it was a technobabble that was thrown out all the time. New Star Trek doesn't even bother. The zombies was because some flower merged with something that they really didn't explain to make zombies. And the final
absolutely
episode
explained it. It was a seed that made that it enhanced like the growth of the stuff that the crops they were trying to grow. And again, does that make as much? It makes as much sense as the mushrooms have turned. Like The Last of Us, the mushrooms make us zombies.
I would. It's based on again scientific things. You got things like the zombie ant and stuff like that. That's what inspired that.
Oh, fair enough. You got me there. I will just say there was I don't remember when it was, but there's an NPR, National Public Radio. They have a thing called Science Fridays, and there was Aaron McDonald. I think it was Aaron McDonald. Might have been somebody did an interview with them. And they explained how the science consultant things work. They don't come in and say, we need a scientific subject for an episode. What they do is they say, we're going to come in, like the Heisenberg compensator thing. Was someone came in and wanted to do something with the transporter. And the science consultant was like, well, you can't do that because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So what the science consultant gave them was the Heisenberg compensator. Like the consultants are there to not to drive the story, but to take the things they make up and try to make and give them the technobabble to
put a spring science.
Yeah. And that's how you get like tachyons, chronotons, gravimetric,
do you
stuff
actually
like that.
think you're listening to the consultants though on New Trek? Because I don't think so. And the big example, the final
Aaron McDonald says they are. I mean, she's been doing a lot of press.
The final episode with Sentry made no sense. She said, right, the genetic memory of all the species are within me, so I can fight this evil. And I'm like, you're human and you're a Gorn. Where does everything else come from? It doesn't make sense. They sort of go 1, 2, 20.
It's the chimera flower that you have sort of dismissed out of. Like, again, I'm not saying the explanations are great. I'm just saying that the technobabble is in there. It's just the difference is when Data said, huh?
They skip over it though. They don't bother. They sort of go. It's almost like this. I always think Star Trek was big science, little fiction. So they would try to do the science. They really did try to make it science fiction. With this, it feels like New Trek is like the science is there, but it feels like a bit of a nuisance. And they'll throw it in because they know the fans will moan. The musical is another good example. They had this bullshit reason why it was like, oh, it was another reality slipping into ours. and it was an excuse. They said, we want to do a musical. Can anybody think of a reason why? Oh, it's a different reality. Does that explain why we're then all hearing the music and the psychics so we actually understand, that we all can sing in synchrony? No, it doesn't. Fuck it, we're doing it anyway.
Well,
that's what it felt
fuck
like.
it, we're doing it anyway. There is a long history of that in Star Trek, and I will say this:
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm fine. I obviously I get that it doesn't work for you. I have always found myself, replaying my favorite Star Trek episodes in my head whenever I'm having a conversation with someone who's like, "That's not how the magic works. The magic doesn't work like that." It feels to me like, and again, I think there is a level of charity that fans have to give sci-fi and fantasy, because to buy the masks, TNG masks, like there's this ship that turns this library ship that turns the ship into this ancient planet. Or the Inner Light, there's this probe that travels in space, beams a whole lifetime into Picard's eye, and then just dies. Like, it's like, we want someone to remember us, but it's just going to be this guy. I mean, there is a way you can go through.
Yeah.
This will be a fun one we could do. You should do, like, I'll look at some of your critiques of this Strange New Worlds episode, and I'll work up a very similar critique of a classic Star Trek episode by like applying the same kind of
do you know what my
level of charity
every single time though is that you're talking about 1 in 26 episodes, I'm talking about 1 in 10.
That's very true. That is fair. That is very fair. And we also had to wait 2 years. We had to wait 2 years for this.
When you're doing episodes, think about it a bit more. When you're writing, into TNG, they were literally writing the episode the night before they filmed.
Oh yeah.
So you can be a bit more charitable when you understand that, but also they're doing so many. They were working 9 months of the year on TNG, and we were getting a season every year. So it's a different beast. I think that's why I get frustrated so much, because I'm like, you've had 2 years to think up these 10 episodes.
Well, no, season 3 was filmed like we waited 2 years, but they had it done.
2 years finished filming, and I was actually
told it stopped because of the strikes, but like they sat on it. Like season 4 has been done for I think a year. No, I'm lying. Season 4 has been done since July.
An actor from the show told me that they were waiting to not put it up against, they wanted not to go up against anything too sci-fi. They put it against Alien Earth. It wasn't a good idea. I was told that it was delayed quite a bit because they didn't want to piss the Trump administration off. So they had to sort of go through it all and make sure there was nothing there that was too provocative, because again, they wanted their merger to go through. And I was told by this actor, Akiva Goldsman would never allow that to happen. And I was like, normally, I'm sure he wouldn't. We ain't living in normal times right now.
I mean, even Alex Kurtzman doesn't have, I think, as much say as people think. Like, again, I've heard from someone who would have firsthand knowledge of this that I will not say, but that, Alex Kurtzman was not against reworking Section 31 once they changed it from a pilot to a movie. But the studio was like, no, you don't get to rewrite the script, and it can't be more than 90 minutes, even though it's streaming, and we have no reason to add an extra half hour that might give people actual character arcs,
Yeah. There were other factors involved in like Michelle Yeoh's timetable and things like that as well, though, which obviously I think there was an element of all sides desperately wanted to do this. Yeoh wanted to do it. The studio desperately wanted to do it because of Michelle Yeoh, who just won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And Kurtzman wanted to have something with Michelle Yeoh, who just won an Oscar in. So all sides wanted to do it, but they were basically, on all sides were saying, well, it's going to be this, and it's going to be this, and it's got to fit Michelle Yeoh's timetable.
Yeah.
And it was just a disaster, recipe for disaster. But anyway, let's call it a night.
Yes.
I need to eat. I think my dinner's burning.
I also have to go very bad.
It's 8:30 for me, so I want to.
My molars are floating.
So next time we pick up, we're starting with Technobabble and Suspension of Disbelief.
Yes.
Yeah?
Which will slide real nicely into, what's the first episode we're picking up with? This is Starfleet?
Please let me pee.
All right.
We can. This is Starfleet. We can have a good debate on that because I really enjoyed that episode. Everyone hated it, and I still actually quite enjoyed that episode.
Y'all are gonna have to give me a thumbs up or not. But the way Michelle Yeoh in Section 31 with the Oscars into that makes me think of Robert Downey Jr. going from done with the Avengers and all that, and then I'm gonna go do Dr. Doolittle, and then
he needs to buy some more animals for his farm.
Yeah.
We got to be
By
fair.
the way, 4.5 Vulcans, my favorite episode of the season because there's a Pittsburgh, PA reference in there. That's a tease for next time.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
We'll talk about
and
it.
you'll know what to do while you're waiting on the next episode for Joshua.
Read that. Oh my God, what a handsome and intelligent looking author page.
It's a
Are
magnificent.
those books back there? I wonder if those books back there are for sale on Amazon.
What? No way. I'm gonna have to read this top article right here too.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Right,
You
man.
said
I love
prestige
you
soap
guys.
opera earlier. I feel like Peacemaker might be hitting that a little bit, but
Yep.
we're out of here. Thank y'all for hanging so much.
Remember-
It's been a really fun episode.
Remember what he said? 2 hours? It won't be more than 2 hours.
Nah,
I said
just
now.
just a tad. But it was really fun. Y'all know what to do. Check us out. Check Joshua out in the meantime. We'll come
Me and my
back.
buddy David
We'll let you
Zaslav.
know. I found the one with Zaslav.
Jay got
waving.
beamed up.
It cracks me up. But all right, thank y'all so much. We will hopefully be back this Friday for Radical Wasteland podcast, and we will keep you updated for anything else happening. Farscape Patreon most likely tomorrow morning. And adios, y'all.